I think I can handle that.
Good to go, Commissioner.
Thank you. Let's call the meeting to order. We'll note the presence of a quorum with all commissioners present. First of all, I'd like to yield to Commissioner LaVisca.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take a second to say a couple words regarding the passing of Charlie Kirk. I'd like to honor him and his legacy, his message. His message was non-political. His message was spiritual. He made the very clear and true point that left and right politics won't save this country. Biblical truth and getting back to the gospel of Jesus will save this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Following the pledge, which I'd invite you to please stand for, we'll have a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. On to approval of the agenda. Dave,
No additions that I'm aware of, Mr. Chair.
commissioners,
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
motion on the floor by Commissioner Sample approving the agenda. Support.
Support.
Motion supported by Commissioner Carney. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Agenda is hereby approved. Are there any comments from visitors this morning? Second call, any comments from visitors? Third and last, any citizens' public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion.
Make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner LaVisca approving consent. Support.
Support.
Commissioner Westerland supports. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. On to County Engineer. Morning and welcome, John.
Good morning, thank you. Well, it isn't often that I come to the board asking for an equipment replacement that wasn't programmed, wasn't budgeted, but here I am asking for an equipment purchase that hasn't been programmed, hasn't been budgeted. I guess the reason I kind of spelled out in my memo to the board, we bought this excavator in 2020. We thought we were getting a good machine. It was the lowest cost machine that we priced out at the time. And we were really excited that it had a 30-inch wide track, which was pretty unusual. The only manufacturer that offered that wide of a track. With the places we asked this excavator to go out into our peatlands on our public drainage ditches, soft soils, that was pretty important. So we decided to give this excavator a try, and it actually worked really well for the first 4 years until early last year when we started having a lot of problems with it. Basically, an excavator machine, it's basically an engine, hydraulics, and electronic controls. It's all there's to it. And we started having a lot of problems with the hydraulic systems, mainly one side. There's two hydraulic systems in the machine. One of the hydraulic systems, we just started having problems with. The left track wouldn't have any power, it wouldn't work. The attachment would not work, wouldn't have power, would actually start on its own. So it basically all of the hydraulics that were run by that one side, we were having problems with, just lack of power, lack of responsiveness. Sometimes it just wouldn't work at all. Sometimes it would work uninitiated by the operator. We initially tried to fix it. We put a lot of money into it. We spent $20,000 replacing that hydraulic motor on that side, hoping that would fix the problem, but it didn't. That was early 2024. Since then, we've been just chasing all kinds of problems. The dealership has been very good trying to figure out what the problem is. I think in reality, we all know that the problem is a very expensive one to fix. They would basically have to take the machine apart, redo the entire hydraulic valve bank. We would likely have $60,000, $70,000 into that repair, and going into that repair, we wouldn't know for sure if that was gonna fix it. So, you know, we've been struggling with this for going on 18 months, and we finally decided a couple months ago, we just need to get a decent machine into our fleet. This is the only excavator we have. We put about 500 to 600 hours a year on it, so it's used a lot. And we need it to function when we're out in the middle of a swamp, and we need that left track to pull us out of a soft soils. We need to know that it's gonna work and not be at a fraction of the power it's supposed to have. And we need a safe machine that's not just gonna start doing things, you know, unprovoked by the operator. So we just decided it's, you know, this is one that we tried, and unfortunately it didn't work out. And so we costed out a couple of machines that we are familiar with. The Cat and the John Deere, we priced out those machines. I gave you the prices on them in the memo. The Cat machine, even though the trade-in allowance for our existing machine was lower, after trade-in, the Cat 313 through Ziegler was the lowest cost at $156,400 after the trade. So I guess that's what we're asking for authorization to proceed with that purchase, trading in this our existing machine. The dealer, both dealerships in giving a trade-in value were made very well aware of the problems with this machine, so we're not giving them something that they don't expect. As far as the cost of the machine, you know, because it was not budgeted, because it wasn't programmed, you know, that's a significant expenditure. But we were able to, because we have excess engineering reimbursement that we can request from our state aid construction funds, we can use those funds to purchase the machine. It will make the purchase, it won't affect the levy. You know, that would have been the other option, to just increase the levy for 2026. We didn't have to do that. We didn't have to spend our fund balance, which we're still trying to build up to be within our targeted range after COVID made our fund balance go down. So we had that opportunity to just pay for the cost of the machine with increased state aid construction engineering reimbursement, and it will be levy neutral and won't affect our fund balance. So we're just asking to be able to purchase this machine and basically get rid of a headache that's been in our department for a long time.
Absolutely.
Makes sense. Commissioners, you've heard the
Mr.
request.
Chair, can I ask you one question?
Oh, certainly.
How many man hours by trying to baby this thing have you lost compared to if you had a good machine?
We haven't tracked it, but I mean, we've spent a lot of, there's been entire days when the dealership would send, you know, a team of 2 or 3 people down, and, you know, we'd have our operator working with them. The dealership did all they could. I mean, they spent a lot of money out of their own pocket too, trying to get this machine working. And in the end, you know, any of the little things just wouldn't fix it. But yeah, we put a lot of time into it. You know, a lot of, I couldn't give you a number of how many hours, but we put a lot of hours into just trying to get this machine fixed, running it up and back to Duluth. A lot of times they'd come down and we'd spend a day in the field with the mechanics, and, you know, a lot of time.
Commissioners,
I have a question.
Commissioner
A
Westerlund.
couple questions. So what was the purchase price of the broken one?
Back in 2020, I believe after the trade-in on that one, I think it was 130,000.
Okay, and was there a warranty on that? for a
The
certain
warranty
time?
was, the warranty expired early 2024, just as we were starting to have problems. And that initial $20,000 drive motor replacement, we actually argued that should have been covered under warranty. But it was right in that window when the warranty was expiring, and, you know, I guess we could have chose to fight that a little more, but, you know, we held off paying that bill. That $20,000 bill that was incurred in early 2024, we did hold off paying it because we were disputing it. We only recently, within the last couple months, paid it, and all that time we were, you know, arguing that this should be warranty work.
Yeah.
But during that time, you know, the dealership put in probably 1.5 to 2 times that amount just in their own cost trying to get the machine running. So, you know, kind of a negotiated
Yeah.
settlement with
Do
us and
other
the dealer
people
was
have-
we'll pay that, and you know,
Do
thank you.
other entities have that product and having trouble with it, or was it just one goofy one out of the batch.
I mean, this is the first time we've ever bought this make of a machine.
I know, but another,
We don't have any other,
Road and
we
Bridge.
don't have any other Volvo machines. And, you know, some of the machines are very good. It's just, this machine isn't. And, you know, we've talked to other owners that have these machines. It's a known
what I'm
problem.
saying.
They just haven't perfected their hydraulic systems and integrating them with all the electronic controls. And it's really difficult. I know our dealership really struggled trying to communicate with South Korea, you know, trying to get the information that they needed from the manufacturer to fix it. So, you know, that'll be the nice thing about CAT. I mean, we have CAT equipment, we have John Deere equipment, we have other equipment, but there is no make of equipment that matches Caterpillar's maintenance. I mean, no one comes close. So we're confident that going to the CAT machine, we'll have a machine that will be good, and if it does break down, you know, it'll be serviced very well.
Commissioners, you've heard the request. Commissioner LaVisca?
One more quick question, I guess, since we're shooting those away right now.
Yes, sir.
So this was budgeted to replace next year?
So, I mean, this machine wasn't in our 5-year program to be replaced, and we had, you know, we intend to keep these machines for 10, 12 years generally. So, I mean, when we purchased it, we weren't planning to replace it until 2032.
So there's no flip one way or the other for next year's budget?
Well, so when we made the decision earlier this year, that it kind of coincided with the budget process. The purchase is included in the 2026 budget.
Yes, okay.
It didn't affect any numbers in the 2026 budget. It didn't affect the levy, it didn't affect the fund balance, because the only thing it's affecting is our state aid construction balance, which is what we're using to pay for it.
Okay. So that was the plan into next year also? Okay.
Right.
Yep, thank you. I'd move to approve them.
Motion is set effect on the floor by Commissioner LaVisca. Is there support?
Support.
And that motion is supported by Commissioner Sample. Questions, comments, further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
Thank you for that flexibility. You know,
Thank you, John.
we've had our 5-year capital equipment program in place for a long time, and we generally follow it very closely, but I also appreciate the flexibility in the times when we can't. The next item we have, this is an annual item that I bring before the board, just kind of outlining, I know I had a typo in the memo. I said it was our 2025 program. It's our 2026 highway maintenance and construction contract schedule. So every fall, it seems to be getting earlier and earlier in the fall because we're getting projects out the door earlier. But every year, about this time of year, I bring to you this list of maintenance and highway maintenance and highway construction contracts that we intend to open bids for during the coming season. And I guess I do this just to give you a heads up of what we're doing. None of these projects should come as a surprise since they all follow 5-year programming. But you know, just kind of a last notification to let you know what we're going to be going out for bids on. We ask for board approval of this schedule, and we then use that approval to basically open bids on these projects as soon as we can. We have estimated bid dates on all of them, but they do vary a little bit. Sometimes they're earlier, sometimes they're later. So the next time you'll see any one of these projects is when it comes before the board for award of the contract after we open bids. So this is, you know, just, it's for your information on what contracts we're gonna be putting out for bid. And I'll just go through the list here real quickly. The top 3 projects are just annual maintenance contracts that we have for crack sealing, pavement markings, and then calcium chloride application. You can see that we're anticipating opening bids on those. The first one in December, the last 2, the pavement marking and the calcium chloride, into March, and you can see the dollar amounts that are estimated for each of those. Should note on the calcium chloride, the $860,000 cost, only about half of that cost is county cost. The other half is townships that we offer the ability to treat their roads with calcium chloride through our contract. So those are the maintenance contracts, and we get down into the construction contracts, and I'll just go through these one by one individually. The first one that we're gonna be opening bids on, this one is actually, this bid date is actually, confirmed. We will be, if you approve it, we'll be advertising, starting advertisement next week to open bids on this project, October 27th. It's a pair of bridges down on County Road 2 near Dad's Corner, east of Melmo. There's two bridges, one over the Snake River, one over an unnamed creek, that are within a mile of each other. So we put a project together that replaces both of them. County Road 2 will be closed, so County Road 2 will be detoured. There'll be no through traffic. All of next year, we replaced both bridges at the same time under the same contract, just so we could have just 1 year of a road closure rather than doing the bridges in consecutive years and having the road closed for both years. But we will be, like I said, we'll be advertising for that project with a bid opening date of October 27th of this year. The cost of that project is $1.68 million. We were fortunate that the bonding bill from this past year's legislature, we were able to get a $682,000 local bridge replacement program grant to cover part of the cost of that project. The second project that we're working on, this is actually a Malmo Township project that they asked for our assistance to do the engineering for. Malmo Township received a state park road account grant through the DNR to improve a little over 2 miles of their township roads that lead to the Sugar Lake public access. So we've been working with the township. When they get that grant, the project has to be engineered. There has to be construction plans. We've been working with them to provide those services. We're meeting with them in October, but we're thinking that we're going to have that project ready for bidding by December 1st of this year. The total cost of that project is $875,000. This project is just aggregate and grading and base. The ultimate goal of that project that they got approved through the DNR was to put a bituminous surface on it. That phase of the project will be done under a separate project in a future year, hopefully next year, the following year, 2027.
No,
What's that?
no. No, it's my road.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you get a grant and it just shows up and nobody knows about it.
Yeah, so we're working for the township. We're not making any project decisions. We're just doing engineering work for the township. So like we do all the time when townships are successful in getting these grants, we always offer our services, and we're doing the same thing for Malmo Township. We're not the project champions. We're not advocating for the project one way or another. We're simply doing the engineering work once the decision's been made to proceed and the money's been received through grants. So that's our role in the project, just like any township bridge or road project that they're able to get grant funding for. We help them deliver the projects. So the third contract under construction, this is work up in the McGregor area on County Road 62 and County Road 71, grading an aggregate base. Again, a future project will place a bituminous pavement on that road. The project's 2.5 miles in length. We're anticipating being able to open bids on that in early January. We've got a January 12th bid opening date that has a $2.1 million cost to it. That is entirely local cost that we pay for using our roughly $600,000 a year that we levy from property tax levy for county road construction. So this is a fairly good sized project. This project combined with the bituminous paving that will follow will take 4 to 5 years worth of that $600,000 levy just to pay for it. We recently completed right-of-way acquisition on the project, so I think we're ready to go. We just have to get the technicians back in the office from construction to put the final touches on the plan, and then we can go out for bidding on it.
You knew that was gonna be my question, didn't you, John? If you guys had secured all the right of way.
We did just within the last few weeks here, yeah.
Thank you.
The fourth contract is on County Road 5 through the Kimberly area. This is a 4.7 mile grading and aggregate base project, taking one of our gravel surface county state aid highways, improving it. This project is grading and base only, again, future bituminous paving. When the future bituminous paving is done, we'll have a continuous paved route from County Road 4 up to 210. So I think that'll be a nice addition. That road gets a lot of traffic, a lot of heavy traffic. We've been working on this project for a long time. We've actually done phases of the project already. We did the clearing and grubbing on the entire project length this past winter. All summer, the bridge over the Rice River has been closed. The final concrete pour on that bridge is happening today, so that bridge will be open soon. That project, the bridge project, will be completed within a couple weeks. So this is the next and biggest phase, the grading and aggregate base. $6.5 million cost is what we're estimating. I'm really crossing my fingers that bids will come in lower than that, but unfortunately, that's what our estimated cost is when you're building a road through a mile of Kimberly bog that's 10 feet deep. It's a lot of dirt and it's just a lot of cost. So we're hoping to be ready to open bids on that early February. February 2nd is what we've got anticipated. And then finally, the last project there, working with Glen Township to do a culvert replacement in Rabbit Creek on one of their roads just north of Glen. That project is being paid by town road funds, and they also are working with the DNR. DNR is contributing a small amount to put additional floodplain culverts in through their geomorphic design approach. It's kind of a new thing we're seeing from the DNR as a condition to permitting. So we're helping them to deliver that project. We're anticipating being able to let that project in early February or mid-February, along with another project on Dam Lake. This project is just on a private road. So you're asking, why are we involved on a project on a private road? This is actually a soil and water project that Soil and Water Conservation District was able to get a Mississippi Brainerd One Watershed grant to replace the structure that's failing. Has a lot of water quality implications if the structure can't flow the water that it needs to keep the lake at its appropriate levels.
That's been a long time coming too, hasn't it?
I've been talking to the private residents on this road about this structure for probably 15 years.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're not there yet. We had a public meeting a couple weeks ago, over 60 in attendance on a Friday night. But we do still have to acquire the DNR permit, and I'll probably be bringing that back to this board at a future date, because we're having an issue with who is going to be the permittee on that permit. So I'll get that worked through, and like I said, you'll probably be hearing more about this project before we open bids on it. But project cost is about $90,000. That's the amount of the grant, and again, because soil and water. It's a soil and water project, but we've had a partnership with Soil and Water that when they do projects that require engineering, we provide the engineering. So that's been our role in this project as well, just providing the engineering to allow the project to proceed. So though that project combined with the Glen Township project, we're anticipating combining them into a single construction contract, opening bids in mid-February. Total cost of that contract would be $270,000 between the two projects. So that's kind of, that's an overview of our complete 2026 program that we're planning for. The total dollar amount there, $11.4 million. That's pretty high. That's $4.5 million higher than last year's program, and that was the reason, if you recall, during my budget presentation a few weeks ago, that our overall highway department budget was up substantially. I think close to 40%, $5 million over last year, but $4.5 million of that was just on the construction side. We get a certain amount of construction funds every year, but projects, we don't do the same amount of construction every year. Right now, we're holding a $3 million balance in our state aid construction account for projects that we, haven't built yet. So next year is, when that money will be spent, and it's resulting in a bigger than anticipated, or bigger than normal, construction program, and also therefore a bigger than normal budget. But again, just looking for a motion to approve this, and that will be our direction to proceed to open bids on these projects as outlined.
Commissioner Westerland, you had a question?
Yeah, so on County Road 2, how long is the route? The detour route out?
And where is the detour
Well, so
route?
the detour will basically be from Dad's Corner, County Road 2 and 65 down south to State Highway 18 and 65,
Okay.
all the way
Wow,
across
that's
and back up on State Highway 18. I mean,
Yep.
we could have detoured traffic onto our gravel route, County Road 26, but we
No.
typically try not to do that. Yeah, so
We have
that
to
will be
pay
the
this-
detour route. I'm sure a lot of people will also use County Road 4. It's almost the identical detour length, a
Do we
little
have,
bit longer.
does the state charge us then?
No, the state does not charge
that
us
nice?
when we use their roads for detour routes. No, that's a one-way street.
Yeah.
We get to charge them when they use our roads for
That's right.
detour.
It's a backdoor quid pro quo.
It's not much, but we'll take it.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion on the floor to set effect by Commissioner Samples, support.
Support that.
Commissioner LaVisca supports. Discussion, I have one question. John, on the Dam Lake culvert, is that paid for almost exclusively, if not exclusively, from Brainerd One Watershed One Plan?
There is a small local contribution, which is, we're told, gonna be paid by either some combination of the Lake Association or the residents that are affected by the structure.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion's carried.
I should say too, since you were asking about the detour for County Road 2, detour signs approaching Malmo are gonna be very confusing next year, because MnDOT will also be detouring Highway 18
Yeah.
for a box culvert replacement. So there'll be two different detours signed on
You mean on-
47.
So
So it's gonna,
Lori's phone will be ringing.
On the Mille Lacs side, they're gonna finally replace that box
Right.
cover?
yep. And there'll be a lot of work happening around Mille Lacs Lake. I
That'll be
think the last I heard from MnDOT was that all four corners of Mille Lacs Lake will basically have MnDOT construction going on. The
They
roundabout
don't know
in
what they're
Garrison,
doing, do they?
the roundabout down by just north of Anania, and then work through Waukon. So there'll be a lot of work around Mille Lacs Lake. But yeah,
Thanks.
we're gonna have to figure out how to make that detour signing. It's not typical that there's two detours being signed on the same road.
Is any work on 169 going towards Garrison? I don't think there's any work down there, so.
Garrison will be under
Oh,
construction.
the roundabout thing, yeah.
Yes, well, it's a roundabout, and then it's also a few more miles, a couple miles each direction resurfacing.
Right.
So just on the signage on 47, just make sure all of it's in Malmo Township in her section of road of 47 there, and that'll be
No.
good.
Right, thank you.
Lori's pulling rank.
Grab a donut. Grab a donut before you leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Compliments of Commissioner Carney. Anybody in the audience, help yourself to a little treat there.
I'm the only one.
I have-
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
just wasn't eating.
On to a land commissioner, DJ. Welcome, DJ.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, DJ.
Good morning.
Should be.
Well, I have today, this morning, I should say, actually kind of a neat little project. It's a partnership that we're doing with the Minnesota Deer Hunters Association. And they actually have a grant specialist. Her name is Kim Washburn. And she has reached out to several different land departments about doing a partnership in applying for a CPL grant to do basically kind of timber stand improvement work or anything like that. So in the past, we had actually partnered with MDHA and applied for a CPL grant to do some bud capping on some of our trees for deer protection. So Tom Parkin, our senior forester, had the idea of doing a planting of true white oak, which is different than most of the locals around here will call bur oak white oak. It's actually not technically white oak, it's in the white oak family, but so this would be a project applying for a CPL grant in partnership with the Deer Hunters Association. to do not necessarily an experimental planting of true white oak, but a planting of white oak on the very northern edge of its growing range. So we find white oak, true white oak in Aitkin County. It's a central floristic species, but we do see it around like Cedar Lake and Blue Lake. If you remember where Richard Jackman's property is, that's probably the most true white oak I've ever seen in one spot in Aitkin County. So this would be taking 3 sites totaling roughly 100 acres and doing a planting of true white oak. And then the follow-up would be the release work and any type of browse protection or deer protection. So the grant application, like I said, it's a CPL grant in cooperation with the Deer Hunters Association. The total grant is $50,000. And then there's a 10% match that's required along with that. So we would have a $5,000 match that is included in our 2026 budget. But I would imagine we will meet part of that match with in-kind and resource time as well. So at this point in time, looking to adopt a resolution to partnership with the Deer Hunters Association on the CPL grant for planting white oak.
Absolutely.
Commissioners, you've heard the request.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have the motion on the floor by said effect by Commissioner Westerland. Support.
Support.
That motion is supported by Commissioner Carney. Discussion, Commissioner Westerland.
This is great.
So Dennis, are you guys basically gonna manage that for them then? Is that,
No, it basically the MDHA is essentially wrote the grant wrote the CPL grant. So there isn't anything, they're not taking any type of administration dollars or anything like that. The grant would actually be awarded to MDHA, but then we would be getting reimbursements then from MDHA.
so you're basically just planting the trees?
We're planting the trees. We actually would contract, the dollars in the grant, have built in for planting costs and then the purchase of the trees themselves. So, and they're actually planted on what's called a shelterwood site where we have roughly 60% of the trees are already removed. And then we go in and then we plant it, and then in 5 years, they come in and they take the overstory off.
Okay,
And the idea is just to add some diversity to our hardwoods.
sure.
You know, a lot of the climate change people talk about assisted migration, taking species from Missouri and bringing them up to Minnesota. We're not there yet with that type of work, but we are interested in adding diversity to our hardwood forests. And with white oak, we see a great opportunity because we do have it in Aitkin County. We're on the very northern edge of its growing range, but.
Mr.
Good.
Chair, if I may.
Commissioner Sample?
How long does it take that tree to mature?
Mature as in start producing acorns,
Yep.
or generally around 30 years before they will actually start producing acorns.
We're thinking of our future
Absolutely.
Grandchildren,
grandkids, great-grandkids.
their grandchildren.
And we're hoping that maybe if we get enough white oak, we'll get a distillery up here that will start making whiskey
Oh,
barrels out of
that's
white
what
oak.
it is.
Maybe put a call into Justice Brothers again.
There you go.
Pete, Pete.
Question, where are the 3 locations?
There, we have one in each forester's district. So there's 3 locations totaling about 100 acres. I don't have the exact location of them, but 2 of them are in the northern end of the county, and then one of them is in Forester Dustin Goebel's area, which is the southern end of the county.
Nice.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried.
And I
Thank you, DJ.
Yep.
See you tonight.
Yeah.
And on to County Auditor Kathleen Ryan. Welcome, Kathleen.
Morning, Kathleen.
I'm gonna come here so I can see what I'm talking about. So my first item on the agenda today is setting a public hearing. We have been contacted by the Melmo Market. They would like to do an off-sale liquor sales. So, part of that process is getting their township approval and then having a public hearing. So I'm here today to request setting a public hearing date for that.
Do you have a suggested date, presumably during a board meeting?
So many days.
Probably a
Right,
30-day
so I was
notice.
just looking at that. Christy was saying the last time it was 2 weeks, but that seems a little bit early for me. What I was wondering is if we set it for October 28th, that would give us for sure 30 days between today and the
Yeah.
end, and that would allow for mailing. We have to mail within a 3-mile radius and notify everybody and then get it published in the paper. So, just in, getting everybody notified and getting responses back for the public hearing and stuff. I think the 28th would be a good date.
And that would be our second meeting date of the month. And since we're making a motion, we better include the time. Would 10 o'clock? That's usually a kind of comfort zone. Kathleen, is
That
that?
would be fine with me, yeah.
So 10:28 at 10 a.m.?
Got it.
I won't be here, so.
Yep.
10 o'clock.
Yeah. Commissioners, any further questions before we call for a motion?
Make the motion to set the public hearing on October 28th at 10 a.m.
Motion on the floor by Commissioner LaVisca, support.
Support.
The motion supported by Commissioner Carney. Any further comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. Public hearing date is officially established.
Thank you very much. The next item is actually CLA, and I got Kristen and Eric here today, and they're actually gonna be the presenters, but this is our 2024 audit is finalized. So I'm gonna turn it over to Kristen and Eric.
Welcome. Good to see you again, Kristen. Eric?
Yes, good to see you all. Good morning, Commissioners. So I'm Kristen Hool. I am the signing director on the audit, and I have Eric with me.
I'm the manager on the audit, kind of handle the day-to-day tasks of all our staff that work on it.
Yes, so on the agenda today is required communications, internal control, Minnesota legal compliance, the federal single audit, financial results, and then we'll wrap it up with key issues and summary. So in terms of required communications, we did issue a separate stapled letter that everyone should have received. This is called the governance letter, as it must go to governance. It's 5 pages, very boilerplate. It does talk about if there's any new standards during the year that were implemented. So this year in 2024, we implemented GASB statement number 101. So that was around compensated absences. And it really, we'll see it later, but it did increase the liability. No significant unusual transactions, no difficulties encountered in the audit, and no disagreements with management.
Thanks, Dave.
Yes, sorry, I was thinking someone was gonna have that. And then the other bullet here is we did issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. So this is a clean opinion, the best that you can receive. So going into internal controls, so audit standards do require that we ensure controls are working properly at the county. So there are 2 types of control deficiencies that are required in writing. The first is material weaknesses. So those are just material in nature. The 2 listed here are the same 2 as last year. The first being audit adjustments. So we did adjust some of the accounts for accruals, custodial activities, and then various full accrual entries to get to that government-wide statement. And then the other item here is financial reporting process. That just means that CLA did draft the statements. Okay. And then the other type of deficiency that is required in writing is significant deficiencies. So still important enough to be in writing, but less severe than the material weakness. And there were 2 items noted here, same as last year. The first is computer risk assessment. So there just needs to be a formal plan in place to identify risks within the IT system. So really getting that formal documented plan, documenting the controls in place. And then the other item noted here is segregation of duties. So there are various departments that are lacking those just due to the small staffing nature. And usually it's not cost beneficial.
Is that auditor treasurer?
No.
No.
No. So
Planning and
I don't know
zoning?
any off
Nice
the top
try.
of my head, but it's the smaller departments within the county that there's not always two eyes on everything.
Okay.
If there's like a vacation. Okay, any questions on those? So then I will go into Minnesota legal compliance. So the Minnesota State Auditor's Office does publish every year a checklist of various state statutes that we need to ensure you're complying with. So we go through the county one of those, and it's about 25 pages of statutes that we inquire about. So there were 2 items noted here, the same as last year as well. So the first is publishing of claims. So the official proceedings of the board meetings should be in the newspaper for all claims over 2,000, and then the aggregate as well. So it's been determined in the past that it's not cost beneficial. And then the other item is around the ditch special revenue fund. So there were 6 out of 14 ditches that had negative cash balances at 12/31. And
I was just gonna say regarding publishing the claims, we do publish once a year when we publish the financial statement, so all the claims we actually do 2,000 and over are published in the paper at that time, but we don't publish with every board meeting. And our ditches are ditches.
yeah,
They are.
Thanks,
They're
Kathleen.
dead.
yes. And that is, the ditch one is very common across the counties that we see. Okay, then going into the federal single audit, so this year we did audit highway planning and construction, that single audit program. And we noted no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. So great job on that one. Any questions before I turn it over to Eric?
Perfect, thank you, Chris. So the first slide we'll look at here is what's we call the months of expenditures in fund balance, unrestricted fund balance. So this looks at all governmental funds. The OSA recommends no less than 3 to 5 months, and that's kind of based off the length of time between your property tax settlements. So it's kind of like, how long can the county function without those property tax dollars coming in? Did have an increase from last year, and this is unrestricted, so that's basically, it's not restricted for a certain purpose like a lot of the grants that we were talking about before. And all 5 years are above that recommended mark, so that's very good. The next slide here is looking at all of your funds combined for revenues and expenditures, kind of comparing them side by side. Just noting that only one of the years, it's kind of backwards, one of the years you had expenditures over revenues, but the rest of the years you did have revenues that were greater than expenses. In 2024, you did have about $372,000 of revenues more than expenditures. But you did have a decrease about $5.7 million from last year, but that relates to that CDBG grant, Community Development Broadband Grant. So you had a lot of activity last year related to that, so kind of just dropped back down to normal levels.
And these are your governmental funds, so LLCC is not in here for
Yes.
your fiduciary funds.
Yep. So now looking at just kind of revenue disaggregated based on the types of revenues, you can see you kind of have 2 main buckets. First one being your property tax dollars, and the second one being your intergovernmental revenue. Property tax dollars, it kind of got a gradual increase based on how you increase your levy each year. And then the intergovernmental revenues, that does fluctuate a lot with the type of activity you have. For instance, 2020, you had the CRF dollars, 22, you had ARPA, or state and local fiscal recovery. 23, you had CDBG, and so it really greatly depends on what activity you have going on. So big one this year was that highway planning and construction that Kristen talked about earlier. The other categories are all pretty consistent, so only kind of wonky thing is investment earnings did go negative a couple years when the markets were kind of down, but we saw that everywhere.
We're making up for it.
Yeah. The next one is looking at your expenditures disaggregated for all funds. So you got pretty consistent, your big kind of functions, your general government, public safety, highways and streets, and then human services. That one big increase in general government was the construction of the building we're standing in currently. And then kind of the 2 big outliers out to the right. First one is that economic development, again, that's CDBG. And then something we did have to do this year, that kind of greenish line capital outlay. So we kind of we're nitpicked apart by our quality reviewers, and we're supposed to report your highway construction separately as capital outlay is the proper disclosure in the financial statement. So you can see highways and streets did have a huge decrease from last year. Well, that got shifted over to the right. So you did have pretty similar expenditures compared to last year.
And that'll continue going forward now.
Right.
Any capital outlay type expenses.
Yeah, so just a change in reporting, but nothing too concerning from our standpoint. Next one is looking at just your general fund, revenues and expenditures from year to year. You can see here, for each of the last 5 years, you have had revenues over expenditures, which is great. Both revenues and expenses did decrease from last year, but that's where you had the CDBG stuff recorded. So you did see about a 4 million decrease from that, but you did have an increase in county program aid for revenues, and then expenses, you had wages increases and a couple other sheriff projects that were going on. Next up is road and bridge fund. So as we all just heard from John, that a lot of this stuff does change year to year based on the timing of when road projects happen, how big they are. So overall, it does fluctuate quite a bit. Expenditures did exceed revenues in 2024. You did have a large decrease in both of those from last year, I believe because you did have quite a big road project going on last year and not as much this year. So, but overall, still very consistent with what we see across all the counties we audit. Next one is human services funds. So expenditures did exceed revenues this year because you did have, I believe, a migration in your casework software, I believe in licensing, and so you kind of changed systems that you were working on. But otherwise, you did for out of the last 5 years, you had revenues over expenses for 4 of the 5 years. So I would say, kind of looking at it, that flip-flop this year was mainly due to that kind of one-time thing that happens every 10 years or so. And yeah, that 1.1 million increase in expenses, I think about half of that was that software stuff. Next up is your trust fund. So where you have like your land and timber sale activity, revenues exceeded expenses in all 5 years presented. This does fluctuate quite a bit with how much timber activity you do have. A lot of times you'll see that the revenues always exceed revenues exceed expenses because of, you always pay yourselves back for the work you do. Tax apportionment was about $400,000 this year compared to last year, so that's that big drop. Next up is your indebtedness. Everything's pretty consistent except for that one green line. That's, to be honest, kind of a made-up number. That's your net pension liability, so there's an actuary that figures out based on all sorts of actuary things that changes based on their assumptions, and so we just report that based on what they tell us to. So that there's no actual true liability to the county, so that's kind of that government-wide level statements that we present. Otherwise, the other big number is your general obligation bonds. It's just continuing to going down as you repay it, and then the bottom 3 lines, those are just pretty consistent compensated absences and lease or loans payable. So nothing too crazy there. Lastly is looking at the business type activities or the Lawn Lake Conservation Center. So you did have about a $200,000 increase in program revenues and expenses kind of increased along with that. But you did actually improve your operating loss, was about $120,000 better than last year. So you're trending in the right direction where your revenues are catching up to your expenditures. And I mean, as long as you increase amount of programs run during the summer, eventually that'll improve year over year.
So if I'm reading this right, Long Lake was 404,000 last year in the black?
Yes, so before transfers and support from the county, as well as there's some other, it's called non-operating revenues and expenses, it did operate at a 404,000 loss.
In the red.
In the red.
Or in the red, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yep, so your net position did go down by 400,000 before. There was about a $150,000 transfer, I believe, but, got a question?
No.
So I will point out that bottom line, the unrestricted net position, that's a negative 330,000. That did go up from last year. So that's kind of what we looked at. Overall, you had about, I want to say a $2 million positive net position. Kind of how it works is 2.3 million of that is your assets, like the infrastructure that you put into it. So then it just kind of the math works out that you have a negative 300,000 unrestricted balance. But with that trending up, that definitely is a good sign for the Long Lake Conservation Center. So head in the right direction, but always make sure to monitor that going forward. Any other questions before I go into kind of just wrapping up? Okay, so overall, very consistent with prior years. I mean, Kristen said we had no issues with working with Kathleen and everybody else in your staff, so it's always an excellent audit that we work on. The only new thing this year was we had a new standard called GASB 101. That's the compensated absences standard. So it kind of made us change how we calculated things like PTO, sick leave, looking at more what you're more likely than not to use rather than just what's the ending balance times the wage rate. You didn't have a material effect on your financial statements, so we just have to kind of, it's a couple paragraphs in the financial statement saying we implemented it and there were no material changes. So other than that, it was a great year.
Commissioners, floor is open for questions.
Good job. Good report.
Yeah.
So
thank
bottom
you.
line, Aitkin County's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I would say so. Not to throw or bring John up again, I had an exit meeting last week that had a road and bridge fund with negative fund balance, so like they're not matching their timing of their payments coming in, but you guys do a great job there, so overall, have a great financial team, so.
Thanks, Eric. Kristen,
Yes, thank you.
Good to know.
thanks very much.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank you,
report.
See you next year.
Yes, in a
And
couple months.
Oh, and a couple, yeah, there you go.
Starts
Couple
all
months.
Start.
All over.
Yes. Thanks.
get 2 months of reprieve. Kathleen, any comments that you'd like to make on this?
No, it's always great working with Kristen and Eric and their team, and it goes well. And yeah, I think overall we're doing the best we can, and they help us in areas where we need support, which is very nice. So I know that I can always rely on them if we have questions come up, or to make sure that we're toeing the line where we're supposed to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Kathleen, on to the preliminary levy.
Preliminary levy. So, I was here at the last board meeting and we discussed setting the preliminary levy amount. So today I'm bringing forward a resolution that includes, after the last board meeting, it was discussed, to lower the commissioner salaries to a 3% increase. They originally budgeted at a 6% increase that followed the, all other staff increases. I did go back and adjust that down to the 3%. No other adjustments were done at this time. We did talk about a couple other pieces in that. With that adjustment, then, it's approximately 5.24%. And I can't read that dollar amount, but it would be $18,981,045 would be the preliminary levy amount for the 2026 preliminary levy. As always, we can set the preliminary levy, and when we set the final levy, we can go down from that number, but we cannot increase from that number. So that is, I guess, my recommendation for today. Bringing forward, I think Personnel Committee and Budget Committee are both aware that we did receive notice last week of health insurance increase. Health insurance is budgeted in the 2026 budget at a 5% increase. Bobby got notification from our insurance, from our PEEP, which is not all of our employees, but a large percentage of our employees that are in PEEP, that the increase looks more as a 20% increase versus a 5% increase.
And in a dollar amount, that's about 300?
305, I think, is what she projected. She went through and kind of projected based on what was budgeted and what is, and that's not 100% yet either. I think that was a preliminary number that they gave her based on usage that they're looking at. We'll get finalized numbers, I think, at the end of October, end of November. We do have some options. We do have in reserves an amount that the board did set aside a couple years ago for future health needs. That's about $213,000. We do have a couple revenues that we're kind of looking at that could be increased in the budget. You know, playing it conservative or increasing it, and some other items in the budget that could be adjusted to cover that. just to be aware that if that goes in and then we go forward next year, that depending on what comes in 2027, I think that's the uncertain area, is the 2027 budget, because we don't know what's coming down from the federal level and again from the state level, because we know there's obviously been pretty drastic discussions in both areas, so.
Commissioners, open it up for any comments or questions.
So, yeah, you probably can't plug anything in, but what would like a 8% levy look like to go up? Because I'm just saying, next year's gonna be tougher, and the next year's probably gonna be tougher with the changes in Health and Human Services. I mean, it's so uncertain that if we start now building that levy up a little bit, I mean, I would rather get the heat now than, and then hopefully level off in the next 2 years if we could, but I don't know how the changes are gonna happen, and if we don't look ahead, I mean, I would imagine that Health and Human Services would be on board with the higher levy. Union negotiations, I mean, we know it doesn't stop. I mean, it's always going up, it's never going down. And folks do a great job in this county, and we wanna keep people, and I'm just saying, I don't know what an 8% would look like, but it's difficult.
I should have that in my brain and I don't, and I apologize for that.
Well, that's
Oh, but I
okay.
have access.
Sounds like you have some fog in your nose. That's okay. But,
It'd probably be between 19 and 20 million.
well. I mean,
I'm just
it's
shooting
gonna
from the
be-
hip here.
Yeah, I know, it's gonna be.
Oh, wait.
Did the budget committee talk about that at all?
Well, yes, but we had this $304,000 surprise of health insurance and personnel as well.
I've been asking for, where's the health insurance? How come everybody else is getting their health insurance and we're not?
We did.
We did, this
finally
is the
got it.
anticipated,
Yeah, we finally got
and
it.
it is not final yet.
No.
Uh,
But go ahead.
Commissioner Sample?
How much do we have in reserves?
In fund balance?
Yes.
Yes.
So in fund balance, and that fluctuates, fund balance does, but, I had that. I should have brought my computer. When I presented the fund balance numbers to the board, I think we are projected to spend about 900,000 out of fund balance this year with the roofs and what we budgeted. And we were still with that spending, I think if we stayed at the 40% level, we would still be about $1 million over,
And
at
at-
40% level, we'd still have a $1 million cushion,
In
if I remember
excess.
right.
And those are unencumbered.
Correct, yes, that is general fund, correct.
And at 50%, what are we at?
And at 50%, I think it was
Okay, so
400,000.
Okay, so I looked at last,
So we are healthy in our fund balance.
Right.
Right, which helps. And that's been a big discussion too, and part of our budget discussions is our fund balance and how that has, obviously, we saw over the last 5 years, we've added to the fund balance versus
Right.
spending out of
not
the
a
fund
bank.
balance, which is good. We've, I think, budgeted and budget committee discussions is, maybe not been so conservative this year to kind of take some chances that we don't have that happen again for 2026.
I mean, my thing is, if we got 400,000 after 50%, and that's a high reserve, right? Shouldn't that $400,000 go back on the levy to keep the taxes or the levy from going up? And that's doing the conservative thing.
Say that again, Brett?
Rather than going at 40%, if we go at 50% in our reserves, that's $400,000 of money, right? Keeping it high at 50%.
So.
Maybe I'm not asking the question the right way,
So
but
if you're wondering if you wanna spend down our fund balance down to the 40, keep it at
To
a 40,
50.
at the
Keep-
50%, that would mean we would have 1 million, or 400,000, yes, that we could spend out of fund balance and still be in
Still
that,
maintain
at
that
that
50%.
50% level,
that's,
as the auditors recommended. They go by months, we go by percentage in our fund balance policy.
but that's what I'm getting at, is we're still high, or keeping it at the higher level, not the lower level, and we got $400,000 that we could spend.
Correct, and just to be aware, I guess to get down to that level, just to be aware that when we meet that level, then if we have, tough years coming in the future, that the levy may need to increase because we don't want to.
I
Go too
get that,
far
but
down,
that's
but,
why
yeah.
I'm not recommending to go down to the 40. I'm saying go to the 50, that's still at 10%. You know what I'm saying, staying at the high end.
You're just confusing me more, Brett.
May I?
Commissioner Carney.
Okay. What in essence is saying is that we have that cushion of 400,000. So we don't need to spend that this year. That is a reserve that we can hold over, correct me if I'm wrong, for 2027, in case we have the increase that we're looking at. I don't know, may I address the audience real quick?
Sure.
Sarah, could you tell me, what is your estimated, if they come in with the cuts, we talked about this before, are you looking at how many hundreds of thousands of dollars increase for 2027? Just a ballpark.
I have that document that I can send to you.
Yeah.
I would rather send that in an email versus being off the cuff, just to make sure I
Yeah.
have that right, but I can send that in an email that we have.
That's about 300 and some.
Yeah, because I'm thinking that you're right. I think it was around 300.
Yeah, it was like 380.
Okay, so you're at that
Almost 400.
400 that he's talking about. So these funding, this is projected for the next year, but it's one way to accommodate if we do get hit hard by the budget next year. So the point being is, do we need to increase the levy and have this reserve that we have? Do we really need to do that? You see where I'm coming from? We
do.
have the cushion for next year.
Mr. Chair, if I may, when.
Commissioner LaVisca.
Commissioner, and that was a lot of our budget, budget committee discussion was talking about what to do with that fund balance, because we don't want to keep increasing it. We want it to be used. That's why last year we used a lot of it for capital expenditures, one-time payments. Because at the same time, you don't want to use fund balance for ongoing operational, because then
No.
you're using one-time money for something that has to be ongoing, which we've seen that cut a $19 billion surplus into a $6 billion deficit at the state, right? So looking into potential difficulties in 27, that's where that fund balance comes in. And we did go this year and we kept real tight conservative numbers on our budget, ready to possibly dig into that if we had to.
Okay.
And I think, in discussion in our emails with Budget Committee, there were some other adjustments to make to hold the levy where we were at this year, even with that increase to health.
And Lori, just to answer your question, to do an 8% would be a $500,000 increase.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that. I mean, I'm just not.
500,000 would be shy of 6%.
But if we have the fund balance, 500,000 or whatever, 400,000. So that's all, what is the combined fund balance of like road and bridge, health and human services, general fund? I mean, there's so many fund balances. Which, are we talking about them all together? Are we talking about individual ones or general fund?
Just general fund.
So in the discussion regarding the 40% and 50% with the 1 million or the 400,000, which I want to say is approximate, because I'm not pulling that,
Yeah,
I
no,
can't find my
I
document.
get that.
That's just the general fund.
That's just the general fund. It is not health and human services, and it is not road and bridge. I do know, and I'm gonna speak for Sarah, but I do know health and human services is a little, nervous of what is coming in the future and where their fund balance is at. And, you know, what they're sitting at. So I do know that that's a nervousness for them, especially with
I
this
totally agree.
healthcare thing. But, I think the other piece is if they get in trouble, that, you know, the general fund is there to back them up too.
David, would you have any comments at this point? And you're new.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm gonna wear the I'm new hat for as long as I can. Good conversation, right? There's a lot of balls in the air with the 2026 budget, a lot of uncertainty. I think with the healthcare, the insurance costs, as I understand what Bobby has said, is our cap is 20%. And the actual calculated amount might be higher than that. So I think presuming that it might be less than 20% is probably unrealistically optimistic, right? So that maybe is a number that we can fix in our heads, is it probably will be 20%. Today's exercise is to try to get you to a level of preliminary levy that you feel comfortable that working with your staff, that you can get a final budget and levy that works. And so, you know, to that extent, if you're trying to conclude, right, where do you want to, where will you sleep comfortably tonight with a preliminary levy? Knowing that there are so many unknowns
And that you can't increase.
and you can't increase,
You can only go down.
but you can only go down. But you probably don't want to be the commissioners that have a really high preliminary levy that goes out to every property parcel in the county, so that in December, when everybody is upset and comes, you lower it, right? So it's, I mean, I think, and Kathleen and I haven't really had much discussion on the budget, but it seems like that 5.24% is in the range of what seems relatively workable, right?
And you bring up a good point. Commissioner Westerland reiterated. We've got a lot of unknowns, and bear in mind, this is the preliminary.
I know, but you can't go
And
up.
exactly, and I'm supporting your concept here.
Yes, you are.
We're dealing with a $304,000 unknown at this point. Correct my numbers too, Kathleen, but to maintain that proposed 5.24% preliminary levy, we'd have to drain about 215,000 out of reserves.
That would be, so we do have 213,000 actually reserved.
For future health needs.
Correct. And so to maintain the 5.24 would actually be, you know, zeroing that out or using that amount.
And I think that's a key factor in terms of dealing with the unknown for ratification of the final levy.
And that is not included in that, 1 mil, you know, the 40%,
No,
50%,
it's
cause
set
that's,
aside.
cause it is reserved out.
And to maintain that, there's a couple other things. We'd have to adopt the increased interest income by about 70,000 roughly.
And they were comfortable with doing 100, increasing 100 as is.
What do you mean increasing 100 as is?
They were comfortable with increasing our interest income by $100,000.
Oh, yeah.
And there again, we're dealing on a federal basis with the Federal Reserve.
State?
And the momentum is certainly for them to drop interest rates, which will commensurate with the dropping of interest income rates. Dave?
Correct, and I know, we had the discussion last time that some of those investments are locked in long-term at what would be low rates today, and some of them are locked in at what are higher rates, and so, I think there was that comfort level with adding that $100,000 increase, as a legitimate way.
Yeah, if I may, just to, because I think we had discussed this a little bit too, is our interest rates are locked in, so they won't, even a change won't
Well,
affect.
Depends, on some of them are locked in.
Right.
The Magic Fund, which has a lot of the money, I believe, will fluctuate with the market, with the short-term rates.
And if you look at Lori's report, which was item M under the consent agenda, she's got it all mapped out, where the investments are, what the rate of return is, and what the maturity dates are.
Well, and what's happening with our PILT? Whatever they upped it last year and now they're taking it away.
No, they did not take away PILT.
No,
No, I
it
mean,
stayed the
taking
same.
the increase that we got last year.
They didn't
This
take it
year.
away. It stayed the
Oh,
same. We just
super.
didn't get the request for the shoreline.
Yeah, well,
PILT.
that's not really
Right.
ready yet either. And what about county program aid? Do we know about that?
That was not affected either.
Okay, well,
Right,
that helps everybody,
right.
so.
I think the bottom line, the question before us today, again, with emphasis on preliminary, are you comfortable with the 5.24, given the aforementioned factors of using 213,000 out of the reserves?
I have one more question, if I may, Chair. This 5.24, last meeting, we had a list of all of the requests from like CARE and all the agencies out there. Is this 5.24, that's all of those request numbers figured in?
Correct.
And
Correct.
that is, might as well edit head on here. And to maintain that would still keep CARE at 55,000,
Yes.
right, Kathleen?
That's the
So the
baseline.
5.24.
For an appropriation.
Right, the 5.24 currently includes the CARE request at the higher
Yes.
amount.
Okay, does it also, I know I'm dragging this out, but does it also contribute to STS, Sent to Serve? I don't have the figures off the
We
top of
don't
my
That's
have
an
any
Is there
independent-
any number?
information on
That's an
STS right
independent
now.
discussion.
Okay,
Yeah,
But-
STS is in the sheriff's budget at
Okay.
however he budgeted that.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
But the 5.24 includes 55.
Cause that's what,
For
but then
care.
it would lower if it was at
Mr.
55.
Chair?
Yes.
just To maybe clear this up a little bit.
Yeah.
So the preliminary budget had the higher amount for care.
The 75.
Thank you.
There,
75.
that
75.
lea-
So there's still room to play.
that leaves a budget deficit. Right, that and all the other stuff leaves a budget deficit. And so whether the 5.24 includes or excludes any particular thing, I think is up to you to yet determine when
Later.
you adopt the actual budget.
Okay.
And so you can do the arithmetic in your head as to what you want to include or exclude. Funding care at the lower amount creates a little bit of other money to help fill the gap. Funding it at a higher rate, then you have to find other money to fill the gap. The gap is bigger, right?
And the
Thank you.
lower amount is
So-
55,000.
Yes.
And that's the stuff that we'll discuss as we tighten up the levy. This is just a preliminary.
But you can't go up.
We can't go up, but we can go, that's where we start when pinpointing the individual things like carrot 75 or 50 or whatever.
That's
in
when you
each
fine
one.
tune.
I would make the motion, Mr. Chair, that we accept the 5.25.
Okay, for motion's sake, it would be in a numerical, not a percentage. And that
So
would be 18,000, just shy of 19 million.
18,981,045.
Okay, and
The motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
we have a motion to set effect on the floor, going with the 5.24 in essence. The 18,981.045. That motion is made by Commissioner Sample. Is there support to that motion?
I'd support that motion.
Okay, the motion supported by Commissioner LaVisca. Open it up for discussion. Commissioners?
I still think we should be higher and work our way down, because we'll have a couple months before we have to change that. So, I mean, the public has to understand that we're thinking of them also. You know, we need to have services, and we need to have good services, and I truly, I would even be happy with 7%.
Hey, Commissioner Western, you still have the floor.
So, I mean, I don't wanna butt us down so low that we're using all our fund balance and we're, using all the stuff that's in place for,
But if I may,
go ahead.
Commissioner Carney?
but for clarification, the fund balance that we were talking about is for 2027. In case, because we have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sarah, now at AMC, we had the discussion that the legislation has held off 1 year for AMC to work in Health and Human Services to find a way, a negotiation of how we're gonna address 2027 when these cuts come down. The cuts aren't happening in 2026.
Well, there's a lot of different cuts, so the cut that's
Sure.
being delayed is the waiver cut.
Right.
So
And
that's
that's your big one. That's the big one that's gonna hit the counties hard.
Well, then there's SNAP, which did start in 26.
That,
The
exactly.
fourth quarter of
The
'26.
fourth, but that, remember that, like I said, that's the fourth quarter of, we need to make sure this is all out. So we know the cut isn't going to happen come January. So there's time for us to work and maneuver. That's what I want the board to understand too, that there's time to maneuver.
I know there's time, however, you've got health insurance, you've got unions, you've got wages, you've got all the things that people want, and sometimes you can't fight that.
But I understand, but in negotiation, correct me if I'm wrong, thank you, I'll point to the right person. We have already set in our budget the proposed
6%.
increase that we talked about, the percentage. Okay, there comes a time in our negotiations that we're gonna have to be tough to our employees. I think we've been very generous over the last 3 years to our employees. But they
Well-
have to understand the economic,
Right, when they get a
Area we're
6%
in.
raise, but they get a 25% increase in their health insurance, that's gonna hurt.
sure,
So-
I understand,
I mean,
so.
it's just a little cushion to talk a little bit more about where else to, hone it down.
Well, there again, are you comfortable? Obviously, we have two commissioners that are comfortable with, we'll talk in terms of percent 5.24. Any further discussion? I am a little uneasy with it, but it's within an acceptable range, and that's not being overly optimistic. Again, the big concern is the $304,000 unknown in PEEP. But we do have a comfortable amount of reserves to cover that. There are other areas that can be cut in the final analysis. Any further discussion?
Yes, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner LaVisca?
The way I'm seeing it, as we've discussed the cushion that we do have in fund balance, but I think even without digging into that more, we have other adjustments that we can make to bring it down. You know what I mean? There's still a lot of room to talk, and like you said, we're looking at a range. And with unknowns coming into 27, I certainly don't wanna spend all of our fund balance down, but I don't see us having to do that this year. I also don't wanna tell our citizens here that we possibly have some doom and gloom coming, so we're gonna ask you to pay more now instead of later. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna ask them to pay more in case. I don't wanna do that. That's where I'm at.
Yep, I understand that.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question by a roll call vote. We'll go clockwise, starting with Commissioner Carney.
Yes.
Commissioner Sample?
Yes.
Commissioner LaVisca?
Aye.
Commissioner Westerlund?
Aye.
And I will also support the motion. The ayes have it. The motion prevails. Thank you
I appreciate it. Thank you, you guys.
Thank you. Thanks for all the work, Kathleen, and
Thanks
all
for
our
the
department heads.
discussion.
so much.
Thanks for hanging in there.
You're welcome. It's all good.
Bring your computer next
On to the
time.
next steps, right? Yeah, computer next step. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Thanks, Kathleen. How about a 10-minute break?
Thank you.
Hey Kathleen. That letter we got.
That way, Arlene, we're fresh-minded. Becca, Sarah, welcome.
So I'm here to introduce Arlene Sealander.
Welcome,
to
Arlene.
the Board. So just super excited, we have a mental health drop-in center, a resource center here in Aitkin County. And so Arlene is here to kind of just tell you guys about it. And I'm just gonna stand here, I'm in charge of the clicker.
And make sure you use the microphone.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna stand right here. Am I loud enough?
You good?
Fabulous. I did forget my hearing aid, so I probably don't need the microphone is. Anyways, thank you for having me. As Becca said, my name's Arlene Sealander, and I am the founder and executive director of Sealander Coaching and Consulting and Petals of Peace.
Okay.
That's
Apparently
okay.
I am really failing at being the clicker. Okay.
Okay, I'll put that right there so you can kind of see the
Okay.
pictures. So a bit about my background before we jump into our new community resource and drop-in center. So I've been a social worker for about almost 16 years. In those 16 years, I've worked at several agencies with very diverse populations. During the pandemic, I was working for an agency that sent us home to work. I was working way too many hours in my office, and I got burnt out. So I accepted a position with a fairly large mental health clinic throughout the state doing outreach. So they paid me quite a bit of money to drive around Minnesota, North Dakota, and Wisconsin and hand out brochures. Wasn't filling my cup, wasn't really doing it.
By yourself all the time again.
I was all by myself. The most exciting thing that happened is I was hit by a stray bullet in Wisconsin and shattered my windshield. Whoa. So that was the exciting part. So I decided that I was going to find a fun side job. And what did I do is I decided I was gonna be a life coach. It's the best part of everything. I get to practice my specialty, my field, but people actually want to see me, not like they're not forced to see me. So I did all the certifications, spent some money to do that, and Sealander Coaching and Consulting was born. We filed everything with the Attorney General's office, the Secretary of State. And then I was introduced to the world of suicide prevention and postvention. And I took a few trainings in order to facilitate some groups, and it just kind of grew from there. So the more I worked in the suicide prevention, postvention, and the stigma awareness world revolving around mental health, it became so clear to me that our communities needed education. We needed support. And we needed somebody to have those hard conversations and I was going to do it. It was going to be me. I was going to do it. And then this idea of a community resource and drop-in center was kind of suggested to me. I didn't know exactly what it would look like, but I started to think about it. I started to talk about it. It moved very, very slow, because I had no idea what I was doing. But then I found this little building that on my morning stroll through town had a for sale sign in it, and I would look in the window every morning, and that was it. Then I'd walk on home, talk to Rebecca about the drop-in center, very just casually, and then it went. I didn't talk to her anymore about it because I didn't know what to do. So I went along with, in my business, I was working still for the other place. I was working with the Military Mental Health Coalition, doing some NAMI connection support groups here and in Brainerd. Got the NAMI, North Central NAMI affiliation back going, and I was part of the Rivers and Lakes Suicide Prevention Coalition here in Aitkin. So,
Arlene, what does NAMI stand for, so people know?
National Alliance of Mental Illness.
Thank you.
Sorry, I will try not to talk in acronyms.
That's okay.
We've
I-
learned that healthcare has so many acronyms,
Yeah,
we don't even try to
it's
keep up anymore.
crazy. But I sit on the CAPS group, but it's on our board meeting day, so they have to change the date so I can come. But anyway.
Yes, I was like, no, that's today. It's not
Yeah.
today. We don't have caps today.
Well, but it's usually on our board meeting. day.
Yes, it is the other week. So as I was going through this, I looked at facts and statistics and these different trainings that were available to me so that I could give this information to our community members, and surrounding communities. But I had to keep working because I'm not a self-made millionaire. And my significant other thought that I should be getting a paycheck. So I decided what am I gonna do so that I can support this. I talked to my legal financial guy out in Fargo, and I said, what do I need to do to get my nonprofit status? So he did all of that for me. I decided not to change my name because everything had already been filed. And he explained to me how we could keep that name as well as have a different name if we needed to. By this time, I wasn't sure where I was going, where to start. But as I said, there's the little building that I walked by every morning. Again, I reached out to Becca, and because it all was coming through, and she agreed to meet with me about to talk about drop-in centers. I wasn't sure again how, but this was my plan. It was going to happen. I took a huge leap of faith about a year ago and applied for a mini grant through the Adult Mental Health Initiative for funding to furnish my little baby up there. I didn't have that building yet. I just had everything shipped to my house. And there was a lot. But as of October 10th of last year, she was mine. 209 Minnesota Avenue North needed a lot of work, a lot of cleaning. It was gross. It needed a lot of attention. There was no way. My house, my own home, needed to be cleared out so that I could walk out of the pathway of boxes and bags and other things that I had accumulated.
So you purchased this building then?
I did.
Okay.
I did. It's all mine. It was the first piece of property I have ever purchased on my own. It's only in my name. I'm kind of proud of that, and I paid cash.
Whoa.
So,
I'm working in North Dakota.
what's that?
It's from being in North Dakota.
Oh no, he's just in North Dakota. My financial guy's in North Dakota.
Oh, okay.
I know. I'm from here, not here, but close by.
That's why.
So as the month went on, the center was coming to life. I recruited a lot of help to move me, to put together furniture, do some decorating. Honestly, at that point, I was just winging it. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even know if I needed a business permit. I just did it. I made a lot of phone calls. And then we were open. I talked to Becca. I told her January 6th, which was the first Monday of the year, we would be open. Had no idea how it was gonna happen, but it did. And then we did hold our grand opening, our ribbon cutting, on the 30th of January. So we did officially open our doors on January 6th. So in this year, we have accomplished quite a bit. We have learned a tremendous amount, none of which would be possible without the support of our communities, our community members, community agencies and partners. So Petals of Peace is more than just the building. It represents a commitment of well-being and growth to our community. It has been, since I started thinking about this, my vision to create a space where every individual, regardless of their background or their circumstances, can find support and resources that they need.
Bless you.
We serve as a hub for different services, including some educational programs. We can help with vocational needs. We have done some health and wellness initiatives, and we're just continuing to grow. We partner with local organizations and agencies to offer a wide range of programs that cater to diverse needs, because not everybody in our community has the same needs. Community engagement and inclusion are at the heart of our mission. Petals is a place where individuals from all walks of life can come together. They can share their experiences and build on meaningful connections. Our programs and activities are designed to foster that sense of belonging and to celebrate the diversity that we have in our county. We also recognize the importance of listening to our community members. Feedback and inputs are invaluable as we continue to learn and grow. So the center is for you, it's for me, it's for anybody, and we are committed to ensure that it meets the needs and expectations of our communities. So I can't even believe it's been a year. I'm not sure where the year went, but like I said, we've come a long way. And we are so very optimistic that we will continue to grow. And we will continue to be a place that opens doors to opportunities, possibilities, and a brighter future. We want to be a space where dreams are nurtured and potential is realized. So for the last, year and a half, July of 2024, I met with Becca, as I said, to talk about the drop-in center. We talked about the history of drop-in centers in Aitkin, what they looked like. We talked about what was right and what was wrong, what went well, what didn't go well. And somehow I convinced her to work on a request for a proposal.
Didn't take much.
And I was going to apply for it. I think I waited till the last day to submit it because I still wasn't sure. In August of 24, we completed the grant for the Adult Mental Health Initiative for furnishings. We also received a letter that our RFP was accepted and Aitkin County would be supporting our endeavor. September, we received the notice that we received the mini grant for furnishings. Ordered them right away. Had bought them right away, brought them into my house, and they were there for a couple weeks, and then we purchased our building. November, we started putting our center together. It went in cleaning. I have 6 wonderful children who probably don't like me anymore after last November, but they helped. They pulled their weight. We were put together enough so that we were able to host the International Survivor of Suicide Loss event which is held this Saturday before Thanksgiving of every year. And we had hot chocolate and goodies out for the Fish House Parade. In December, we hosted Wellness in the Woods for their holiday party and participated in the Chamber of Commerce's Cookie Crumble Trail. We weren't officially open yet, but I wanted to be open as much as I could, and we did it. Then on January 6th, we opened our doors. We were officially open. We began to host the LAC, which is the Local Advisory Council, and the CAPS, which is the Committee for Awareness and Prevention of Suicide. And then, of course, on January 30th, I already mentioned, we had our ribbon cutting and our open house. February, it was kind of a slow month. It was cold, but we still plugged along, and we're settling in. We did get chosen in February to participate in a pilot project through through Ascend Rural. Supportive, it's a kind of like a, probably gonna date myself, but it's like a chat room, but it's completely anonymous, it's for mental health. They have things in the background so that it's safe, and people are paired. It's a great platform. If anybody wants to try it out, I'll be happy to give them the QR code. So that was very exciting for us. There was only 5 agencies in the area, 3 from Brainerd area, 1 from St. Cloud, and us to get to participate in that. We were also in the middle of planning our 2025 Military Mental Health Conference.
Where's that gonna be at?
That is held every year at Camp Ripley. March came, and it was a hard month for us as a business, especially a new business. I had a family emergency, so I wasn't able to be there most days. The people that I had to back me up were also unable to be there because they were attending to our sister, who was very ill. But somehow we managed to make it through the month. We partnered with Blue Cross Blue Shield and Health and Human Services. Everything just got lost there. For May's Mental Health Awareness Month. So we planned a month-long campaign, countywide month-long campaign. So that was a lot of fun to be able to do. We also hosted a youth day on one of the teacher workshop days where 7th through 12th graders could come in and make iced coffee and Italian sodas and make crafts and play games and just hang out. And April is always a busy month. I attended a facilitator training so that we are able to host support groups for youth that have lost somebody to suicide. We also had the Epilepsy Foundation come in and not the Epilepsy Foundation, the Epilepsy Advocates come in and host a learning session, I guess you'd call it. We partnered with the Arrowhead Regional Council on Aging to be a viewing site for their Get Your Ducks Together series. We also had Justice North, which is the old legal aid system, at the center in partnership with Sourcewell and the AMHI, which is the Adult Mental Health Initiative, for a community meal and a legal workshop. And at that workshop, then they also installed the legal kiosk at the center. So that is open for the public to come and do their legal research, chat with a legal representative. And we had our 10th annual Military Mental Health Conference. In May, we had our month-long countywide mental health awareness campaign. It was a lot of fun. We had lunch and learns every week. We had gratitude gardens, activities for youth at both the elementary and high school levels. We did a walk with the doc with Janet Larson from Riverwoods Behavioral Health. We also received a donation from Fight Camp of an interactive boxing setup with licensures. They gave us 1,000 licensures. And we attended the senior awards banquet for Aitkin and Crosby High Schools to award the scholarships from the Riding with Rory fundraisers. We increasingly had more people coming in. And so June came and I decided maybe I should start keeping track because it might come in handy one of these days on how many people come in every month. So that was the big project for June. We had 106 people come in June, which I was very surprised about. Wasn't expecting that many people, but that's okay. the information that we do collect is non-identifying, and as of right now, we don't differentiate if it's a new visitor or somebody who's visited before. We also participated in the chambers, a couple chamber events. We applied for opioid settlement funds and to start a recovery program at this center. And the most exciting for me is that we began drafting the suicide and traumatic event community response plan. July, we did close for a week. I spent a week at the lake with my 6 kids and my 3 grandkids, my 5 children-in-laws. It's a long week. But I did get to come back for a day and present to the opioid settlement committee for funds to implement this recovery program. And we were awarded the funds. We also did a 2-day root beer float fundraiser for the Riding with Rory scholarship, and that brought in over $500. I was pretty surprised, very pleased. And then in August, we had 197 people come through the door. Some of that was probably from Riverboat Days. We had the Stay, Walk, Run, and Rally that the participants came to the center afterwards for refreshments and to cool down, but still, it was 197 people. We also had an axe throwing fundraiser during Riverboat Days at the Ripplesippi Music Festival. Lots of fun, pretty good turnout. And then the second Saturday in August every month, we host, in conjunction with Carla Christensen, the Riding with Rory ATV ride, with all the funds going to our scholarship. We presented at Bethlehem Lutheran Church about pedals and services that we offer. And then we were able to implement the suicide and traumatic event community response plan. And we had support from law enforcement, the sheriff's office, behavioral health, emergency services, Aitkin County, faith leaders, anybody else that we could think of that we would need to involve, we did. We also attended the Ascend Rural Symposium just to learn about our pilot project and how that is all wrapping up. Excuse me, and then we applied for more funding through the AMHI, which brings us to today. We are at the end of the Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. We've done activities and education every week, and we will continue to do that. One thing we did learn was in May to offer those in the daytime as well as the evening time, so more people could attend. And we coordinated with Human Services in Northern Pines to offer a suicide postvention training in October. So what does all this mean? It's a lot, I'm sorry. We are a community resource and drop-in center. We act as the central hub. We collect, we organize, and provide access to a variety of information, materials, resources, services. We don't think that anybody should have to try to navigate by themselves. Sometimes, and you are struggling, you aren't able to navigate them by yourself. So we are there to walk beside, not to tell you what to do or to belittle anybody or make them feel less. We are here for everybody. We provide navigation and assist or help with connecting to those essential resources. We also have a caring closet with personal hygiene items, socks, t-shirts, random things that people need, just that you need. Okay, sorry. So what are we working on right now is fundraising. We are redoing our back room so that we will be able to use it for visitors. It will include a shower
Wow,
and a washer and dryer.
nice.
So community members can come in, their pipes freeze. I've been there. I've been there. I lived in a trailer court over it's outside of town for a short time. My pipes were frozen for most of the winter. Where was I gonna go to shower? I was a single mom. I had no idea where I was gonna shower or wash my clothes, and I couldn't afford the laundromat. So that is very important to me to make sure that that dignity is restored. We're working on a community safety net program to kind of just supplement what services are offered. Lakes and Pines often runs out of their housing assistance funds, so we have applied for grants so that we will be able to help 20 families between $500 and $2,000. Some of that funds that we applied for will also go to co-pays for medication or medical devices. That sort of just safety net so that our community can remain healthy. Our opioid settlement funds are going to recovery movie meetups. So that is a recovery group. And we partnered with the recovery movie meetup company out of California to purchase the rights to that. And that will be the first 3 Tuesdays of every month. We'll have a women's group, a men's group, and then a youth group of 7th through 12th grades. We are also planning our 2026 Military Mental Health Conference. We're working on some more grants and our community education events. And I just want to thank you all for letting me come and talk about my baby. I spend more time here than I do anywhere else. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Arlene. Commissioners, comments, questions?
I got some questions.
No.
You talked about this suicide, which is very important to me, especially with veterans. I deal with that a lot. Your response team, what is it?
Suicide with our veterans.
I'm just talking about suicide, period. What's your response team that you talked about?
I think I am willing to give anybody the information, the education. They shouldn't have to pay for it. Last week I had QPR, which is question, persuade, and refer, already planned at the center at 6 o'clock, and nobody showed up except for one gentleman from Grand Rapids. And he was, no, you go home. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. He was also a veteran. And like I explained to him, veterans are very near and dear to my heart, and I'm gonna try not to cry.
It's okay, because I get it. I get tears in my eyes, young lady. I've been to two funerals in the last 3 months. The veterans have committed suicide, and I get it.
So my son is a veteran. And when he came back from deployment, he wasn't okay. He wasn't the same little boy that I put on that airplane. And not that he was little when I put him on, but I had him when I was 17. So we grew up together. And he wasn't the same. I had no idea what to do with him. Intellectually, I knew what I needed to say, what I needed to do, who I needed to contact. But I couldn't, because I was scared.
Without a doubt.
And so thankfully, I have made contacts with at the VA and the vet center up in Duluth, and I was able to talk to those people and tell them, hey, listen up, Andrew, I can't do this. Like, this is my little guy. So to prevent, and that's how I got part of the Military Mental Health Coalition too, is because I'm a mom. And whatever we can do, and that's to any suicide, veteran suicide, our youth. Carter would have fallen into, he does fall into both the youth and the veteran. So whatever we can do, my best friend lost her son to suicide. Whatever we can do, whatever support we can give families. Part of that was then the suicide and traumatic event response plan came out of that, because nobody knows what to do. You lose somebody by suicide, you're in a fog. You don't know what to do. You don't have, who do you call? So the emergency personnel that are there, they will provide a magnet with my phone number on there, with Carla Christensen's phone number on there, and they can either contact us when they're ready, or if they want the emergency personnel to contact us, they can. Carla and I have agreed that one of us will always know where the other is for this specific reason. So one of us will always be in the area so that we can answer. And then we can walk with them as they contact faith, other family members, as they have to contact employers or the school. So we're ready to walk with them. We do know that the plan will have to most likely will be evolving and will change. We hope it never has to change, because we hope we never have to use it. Unfortunately, that's probably not.
I get it. My suicide plan, I carry 3 names of dear friends in my wallet at all times. I get it. I've been there. I've also looked at when somebody passes, as a government, we just worry about that person. Their family, there is no counseling for. And that creates a high rate of suicide amongst them. That's all I had, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioners, other
Yes, I
comments?
do.
Commissioner Carney?
Just for clarification, your team are not counselors.
Correct.
You just provide them with information to get in contact with certified counselors and navigate them in that. Your facility is more directional for whatever program that it fits into. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yep. And we
Thank
can do referrals
you.
for different agencies. We've connected.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Westerlin?
So, but you're there. And you're there to help. And the more we spread that out, the more help we can give people, which is wonderful. I applaud you. That's great. Good job.
Thank you.
And to echo Commissioner Westerland, Arlene, thank you. Excellent presentation. And we all wish you the best of luck with your endeavor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're trying to do great things here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Becca.
On to David Minke, our county administrator. Sir, again, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Just one note that Facility Supervisor Jim Bright is available after today's meeting for any commissioner interested in doing a quick tour of the renovation at the HHS building. And just a note that we will do those in groups of 2 or fewer to avoid doing it as a quorum. So if you're interested in that after the meeting, if you meet me in here in the boardroom, we can go over and get with Jim and do that.
It's amazing how much that tree they took down. I drove by one day and what's
missing?
missing?
I did the same thing.
That was a huge sucker.
All right.
David, any further comments?
That's all, unless there are any questions.
Commissioners?
You got $5 million?
Do I have $5 million?
Well, you said any question. I'm just saying, you got $5 million, we can go here.
I would remind commissioners that we specifically negotiated pay, and $5 million was not the number.
Good answer.
Nice comeback.
Good answer.
Brett, do you have 5 million? Sorry,
Not quite.
not quite.
With
Almost.
that, on to Commissioner Committee updates. Go counterclockwise today. Commissioner Westerland,
Oh my gosh, am I ready?
do you have
Okay,
your
so,
CCA notes?
I do.
Okay,
I
great.
do have CCA notes. So, corrections. We had corrections last week, Wednesday, and we talked a little, I asked a few questions about sobriety court. Have not heard anything yet. If anybody hears anything, if it's going to be canceled. Because CARE provides rides to some of their people. So I just wanted to clarify with Amy, we heard that it was gonna be done.
Well, I'm on the
So-
board and I have not heard a word.
So that's
Forever.
good, and Cammy hadn't either. So, yeah, corrections, where's my? I wasn't ready.
Sorry to pop that on.
That's okay. I'm kinda used to that, aren't I, Mark? Anyway,
Bible says to be vigilant at all times.
oh, it's up here.
Yes.
He's over vigilant.
Bless you.
And don't use all the oil in your
Okay.
candles.
Okay, community corrections. We approved the minutes. We hadn't met for a year, which was kind of, I didn't realize that. I did ask about the probation. I asked about if they're still doing field AUAs, because most people are not, and they are, which concerns me. There are other better ways so that our probation people can be in the office or, helping people out in the, whatever they're doing. Not that they're not busy, they're very busy. Let's see. Cheryl and Nancy are, lay citizens were reappointed. We are looking for, folks to, let's see, what are we looking for? We're looking for an ethnic minority education person, to be on that board. The judge was there, Judge Holly, thank you. He was there for just a short time. We're talking about a stipend to try to help people come, or mileage or something. We went through, oh gosh, Cammy had a lot of stuff to go through, cause it's been a year. We went through the budget looks good, although that one person is costing a lot of money. We have one person in Anoka County. We have that bed reserved.
Do you recall what the monthly amount was,
Yeah. It's in here.
other than astronomical?
Okay. That one. I have so many financial sheets here.
Mr. Chair?
Did we
If
Yes.
that's the contract with the NOCA,
Yeah.
I think that is like $350 a day. Does that sound?
350, yeah.
I'm just trying to
I
remember.
think she had a
'cause-
monthly amount in her
Cause we had the same
budget.
contract.
Oh, at Pine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm-
Oh, yeah, we talked.
It was 13,000 a month.
For the
He's very high needs. Or that person is very high
Okay,
needs.
disregard what I said.
Anyway, 65?
Yeah.
Gosh, I thought it was on here. She told us.
I wanna say around the 12,000+ a month.
Yeah, I think it's quite a bit. He's very high, that person is very high needs. Yeah, the juvenile detention, we made it to, we increased it for 26 for 300,000. So they've spent 161,000 already. Yeah, it's not, I don't know, Dave, if you wanna.
Well, we
Take
don't
a
need to
peek.
know it right now, it's,
It'd be interesting to know. She told us too, and so anyway, we have all these, reports from the last year, from arson to, oh goodness, DWIs, different cases, property tax issues, Anyway, if anybody wants to look at it, I can send it to you, or you can just have a copy or whatever. On all the felony, gross misdemeanor, misdemeanor charges, how many and how many caseload people we have.
I'd love to see that.
Here, you can hand that down to Brett. I think that's about it.
Okay, thanks, Lori.
Oh, it's not it.
No,
April.
No, I had an MRC. That was at the Arrowwood
Lodge.
conference for the AMC. I also was on public safety, and they were looking at para. They did a presentation on para for dispatchers and jailers.
Yeah.
Is it both?
It's for Mr. Chair.
Probation.
It's for probation officers and dispatchers.
Dispatchers, okay. So look for that maybe coming to soon. We had a speaker at MRC. It was Mike Weiner, District 5B, so he's Wadena area. I don't know if it's Weiner or Weiner or what. It is Weiner, okay. Probably not related to Anthony.
No.
Sorry.
no, he
No
wouldn't admit it
relations.
if he was.
You knew I was gonna say that, David. Come on. So, great conversation about taxes. How Minnesota is the most just overtaxed in the world for property tax. Yeah, so that was fun. Okay, I think I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Sure.
Commissioner LaVisca?
I had Lakes and Pines, just kind of normal business, looking at applying for grants and things like that. Nothing major developing. I sat on the National Rural Action Caucus. A lot of further discussion regarding rural ambulance and things like that. It's across the whole country, it's not just us.
Cool.
So everybody's looking at those problems. So it's a big push at the federal level, continuing to be a big push at the federal level for rural ambulance. And then I sat on the Agriculture and Rural Affairs for NACO meeting. And they had a lot of discussion, good discussion too regarding ag land and foreign entities buying up ag land around the country. That does happen here as well. So that's a big national focus too, is kind of keeping our ag land, with people that live here and are farming on it for us. Then Snake River Watershed, went over some upcoming projects. Nothing, regarding Aitkin County. We do have some things we're looking at in Aitkin County, but I quite honestly left my notes at home this morning. So I'll get you guys emailed information out on what our watershed's looking at for Aitkin County. That's what I had.
Thank you. Commissioner Sample?
Well, my joint, natural resources board was canceled yesterday. I got my airport committee tomorrow night. I have the loggers all getting together because they have a lot of issues with the ATVs. With the ATVs tearing up their logging roads that they built.
Yep.
So I requested, DJ to put a conference together for them to come have their, talk and their concerns. Senator Weisenberg's supposed to be there tonight. And that's at Long Lake at 18:30, 6:30 for you civilians.
Tell them we said hi.
Okay. And yesterday, and I'll let Commissioner Kearney cover this more, and his thing is we had the MIA come back. Tremendous, Mark. What Aitkin did, what Hill City did, what McGregor and Palisade did when they escorted the body back through here, and at the funeral yesterday. We had a 93-year-old Korean War vet that was there that wouldn't miss that for the world. And you talk about patriotism. If you didn't have patriotism, what you seen at that gravesite, it was there. And I'll let Commissioner Kearney expound on that more. And that's pretty much my committee update.
Thanks, Commissioner Sample. Commissioner Carney?
Yeah, real quick, we had the planning commission on the 15th, business as usual. We were prepping for the planning commission workshop that happened last night. AOA on the 17th welcomed the new executive administrator in. He'll be shadowing until the end of the month, and then he'll be taking the reins. He lives in northern Minnesota. Sounds like he's a businessman, and I think during the economic focus that is coming our way in Minnesota.
Who did you hire?
He was a guy out of Philadelphia, relocated over here, and then applied for the position. I'll get you his name.
Okay, cool.
And then we had the ACA meeting. The real outcome of the ACA meeting, which Lori had some major input in on it at the policy conference, there was talk about disbanding the ACA due to the fact that are we redundant within club and et cetera. And
MRC and NCLUB.
thank you.
Yeah, Northern
It's not
Counties.
called, it's Northern Counties now,
Northern
right?
Counties Coalition now.
Right.
But we also have Minnesota Rural Counties, which is kind of the same thing too.
Right.
And John Ungaro works for both ACA and the
Right.
the Northern Counties.
Well, the thought process was to continue it for one more year.
Okay,
And we did hire him on, this is his last year, he will not go any further than this year. He said, find somebody else. He's getting up in age, he's getting tired. But we will continue the ACA for one more year. And see, the major concern was that we, as the northern counties, east counties with the wetlands and the Pilt and all of that, get lost in the bigger clubs. That was the main concern of Couchiching, Lake, Pine, that will we get lost if we did disband in there?
I don't think so.
So that's where we need the senior commissioners to weigh in this next year, throughout the year, to say, like Rich say yourself, to say, no, it could encompass
Well,
it.
MRC we have people from Kitson, Pennington, I mean, we've
Right.
got people way up north.
Right.
Cooch, Lake of the Woods,
But I think
and
one
it
of the,
goes all the way down to Aitkin.
right, but in reference to your committee that you're up there in Bemidji, how it's totally,
It doesn't even affect us. I think it's a
Yeah, that
waste
one
that we're
doesn't.
on the joint powers.
The joint powers,
Because
yeah.
Right.
everything they talk about is all for the northwestern.
For them.
and farming country,
And
ditching's
it-
totally
and
different.
and it doesn't touch what we do. That's why Cass don't belong to it. That's why Itasca don't belong to it. And it's kind of like they're talking about farming all the time.
Thank you. ARDC, big push for ARDC now is getting out to the rural counties. They have no line revolve phones other than the daycare center in Tamarack that has loans, and they want Aitkin involved in receiving loans and funding for small businesses. So that's quick on that.
Where does their money come from?
It's state, well, it's tax dollars, but it's funded through the state and the federal government.
ARDC is.
ARDC, yes.
Guess I never knew that. I never.
All
knew
right,
working.
and then, and a lot of their money comes from some of the range.
The iron money, the
the
fiscal
iron
disparity
and-
money.
Right, so, thank you, I knew you were going that direction.
I knew.
Okay, and then,
knew you
I
knew
attended to compete against elected officials, what a great turnout, they did a phenomenal job. They raised some good money, there was some good conversation with the elected officials. I didn't get to speak to all of them, I spoke to, Mr. Weisenberg and Mr. Farnsworth, and, we even had a commissioner from Cass County to come down, what a wonderful guy.
We had Cass County commissioners there. We had Morrison
that?
County commissioners. Rusty Lilliquist,
Lilliquist,
Oh.
yeah, really good guy, but anyway, good
big
time.
supporter.
Then we had the PC workshop last night. I'll wrap this up real quick, Chair. PC workshop went very well. We had good attendance. We had good input. There'll be some things that PC is gonna look back at, send it back to the board to look at the suggestions that were put in of maybe fire pits be included in there and bring the fire pits further away from the lakes, et cetera. So,
So Mike, I just have a question about the fire pits.
yes,
What about all the smoke that came from Canada? Did that affect our lakes?
I'm not a hydrologist, is that
Do you
what it's
think it
called?
would?
We don't talk about acid rain anymore, Lori. That was 20 years ago.
Right, so.
Well, I was there and I was almost gonna bring it up, but I thought, oh, I'm gonna start another.
And then the very last item was to piggyback on what Commissioner Sample said about the funeral yesterday. What a great turnout. Thank you, Administrator. Penny Harms was there from the county. Mark Jeffers was there also in representation.
And Josh,
And Josh was there. What a wonderful turnout. The high school kids, I bet 15, 20 of them showed up. And they even kicked in to put all the chairs away that were out there.
Oh, wow.
So I'd made a request to the chair that we all sit down and write a letter of thanks to the students of Hill City. Have her put it on a letterhead, and then if the chair wants to sign it, or all the board members want to sign it to send up there, we can look at doing it. I think that's needed though, because
Yep.
it shows that there still is patriotism in our youth.
and
They still,
volunteerism.
and they still recognize that, and they recognize the importance of this event. I mean, this was a young man that nobody knew anything for 75 years. I mean, went through generations of not knowing what happened to him. So, thank you for all that came. Truly appreciate it, and that's my report.
And Mr. Chair, if I could add on to one thing there, Mackville, is that the township?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
They were tremendous helping people get seated and getting stuff done. And the Aitkin Fire Department with their
It was a whole
flag
group.
truck.
It was the whole county.
It was just awesome. And one other thing I didn't add in my report was the garage sale.
Yes.
That, Jim Bright and his staff did a tremendous job. And Sentence to Serve.
Lot of people.
Sentence to
good.
Serve took a lot of stuff over to the nonprofits in the McGregor area to deliver the stuff that they needed. And I seen April out there. I just think they should be recognized for the hard work they did. And the
There's still a few
success.
free items out there too, if anybody is interested. Otherwise, call Toby.
Yeah. Sir, that's my report.
Thank you. Regarding the recognition letter to the students, if you want, I'll sign that as board, but then we'll CC by name each individual commissioner. And I just say that for signature purposes,
Yep.
if that's
Excellent.
okay
That's
with
fine
everybody.
me. Absolutely.
Lori, you covered community corrections. Personnel, we'll be talking about that during the closed session. Had a meeting with North Memorial Ambulance, just kind of a general, we meet every once in a while. And on the horizon, there will be a conversation, discussion on EMS taxing districts. And again, you had alluded to that, Commissioner LaVisca. What's gonna happen on the state and federal level regarding Medicare, Medicaid reimbursements?
Trying to get all that taken.
Because they're losing money. And again, it's a universal problem. We had a meeting, AIS meeting, which we have not had all summer. One scheduled, and at the last minute, it was canceled. Brett, have you heard anything further?
No.
I haven't either. I think that's all that I have at this point.
I forgot one. Oh, sorry.
Regarding rural
The
EMS,
range.
it is interesting being on those national meetings and hearing like commissioners from rural counties in California complaining about how most of their funding goes to LA County and all these other big counties. So it's all over the nation, like the funding is not
Where it's
spread out
supposed to go.
properly, right?
Well, because there's more people there.
But that's been the talk, for years out there.
Yeah.
That's why it's so expensive.
Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho, all of them have the same problem.
But then Dave and I have talked about this briefly. There are several options for EMS taxation districts. And we're not at that juncture in the road yet, but I'm guessing that it will be coming.
We gotta do something.
And just now that they've taken over McGregor, Meds 1 out of Grand Rapids, North Ambulance Services virtually all of Aitkin County.
Except for where Isle comes in, I think.
You got a little of Isle, you got, there's one little precinct, a quadrant of a precinct, we're in Carlton County, that, Cromwell comes in.
Who's the one in Onamia?
Isle Ambulance,
It is
actually.
Isle, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. God, you're smart.
I believe all I've got, unless there's anything else.
Nope, Dave and I and Mark Jeffers went to the Iron Range, the State of Iron Range. That was really a good program, really
Oh,
a
yeah,
good
that's-
program. You know, they talked about how many people lost their jobs and a lot of the fight. There's a comment period. I don't know if everybody got sent that. Did you get that comment period thing?
No.
From the, I'll send it to you because you can all go on there and
just
comment
watch.
about the mining and how the EPA and the MPCA, they're just fighting.
But what-
Everybody's fighting.
What was the?
It's all the sulfate.
Right, what was the gist of the state of the range of?
Well, they talked about-
financially? What are they?
Well, they didn't really talk about that. They talked about all the projects they've done.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So, Ida Rukavina kind of summarized where the money, where their grants were going, what they were funding. And then they had a variety of speakers, who talked about slices of the industry, with regard to mining.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, it was about Key-Tac and the mining and the, whatever it's called. Oh, guess what? Submit your comment by September 22nd.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Well,
Well,
anything else, commissioners?
No, sir.
Let's take a 10-minute recess. We'll come back, reconvene in closed session.